Hey, good morning, folks. We're going to do some artwork for an Eberron adventure that we're publishing called Crystals of Mabar. You can see the book over here. Give me a moment. I need to check in on my signal. I also need to grab the live link for the social media posts. So give me a hot second while I check in on my signal and Yeah, it sounds pretty clear. So I'm going to drop that down to keep it out of the way. I'm going to grab the link here. We're going to do some social media hits real fast. It'll take less than a minute. If you're catching this after live stream, you can skip ahead a minute and we'll get into the artwork for the day. But for those of you that are trapped here now with me in space-time, my name is Phil Kearney. I create role-playing games. I illustrate them. I publish them online. And I've been a DM since 1987. I've been a freelance illustrator since 1999. I've been an Eberron enthusiast since 2004. And I've been creating content on the DMsGuild since 2018. This is the first thing I've done for Eberron specifically. It's also the first adventure that I've written from scratch, specifically for the purpose of being published and available to the market. So Eberron content is rare and precious, and I want to contribute to that collective. Hence the Crystals of Mabar. So I'm just going to finish up my intro here and say, if you think artwork is cool or this D&D stuff is neat, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon for notifications when we're live in the future. And here's a bunch of books I've already created on the DMsGuild. They all have free previews. Be welcome to check them out if they are interesting to you. Consider picking one up to encourage similar behavior from me in the future. So we'll get this book cover out of the way. We're working on the necrotic forests, the Carnwood next to the Manifest zone, where the air and environment is being polluted by the necrotic energies of Mabar itself. And we're currently adding ground texture and foresty stuff. I call it groundwork. So we're doing groundwork right now. Which is, okay, we have our fog here, and then we have trees there. There, that's the right button. Okay, cool. I'm going to add a layer. When we last left off, we were creating foliage. So I'm just going to stick with that trend. That's what we're doing. That's what I'm going to do. Just going to drop it in here. I use this. It's technically like it's the negative. It's the inverted image of kelp. So this, or rather, not inverted image. This is a kelp bush underwater, and so I polarized it so it's just black and white with no color, made an outline, and then made a brush out of it that I can color. So when I'm drawing, I can stamp these things down to make little foliage forests, and then I can erase at it to sculpt the shape of the actual plant. Like so, here you're seeing I'm trimming away all but the top nudges of it. Because I can layer and show depth perception effectively that way by just keeping the top of the tips in this array of plants that are growing in a colony together. But we have a slew of brushes that work that way that will be bouncing back and forth between as we continue resolving the detail work here on the ground. Maybe little gaps like that. So, we'll be doing this for a couple hours, and this afternoon at lunch, around 2:30 p.m. this afternoon, which will be, you know what, actually, let's make it 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock today. That'll be 7 hours from now, about 7 and a half-ish hours from now. We'll be back on to continue working on the Dark Sun subclasses that were released in Unearthed Arcana by Wizards of the Coast recently for potential upcoming Dark Sun setting, unannounced. But we've resolved the Preserver Druid, the Gladiator Fighter, the Defiling Sorcerer, and now today we'll work on. I'm gonna hit. Yeah, that's too dark. And then today will be the Dragon King patron for Warlocks. And this is for us translating into the color mana system to make Dark Sun feel more like Magic the Gathering with color management. And considering the land motif that Magic the Gathering has in the card set, like your power source is land, I think Dark Sun as Magic the Gathering is particularly fun and interesting. So we did a preliminary look, and we know that the Defiler Sorcerer ended up being black green, but I think the Warlock is going to end up being black blue. But we will find out when we get there. So that's what we'll be doing this afternoon. And last night we were working on the Bastion campaign document, and we resolved sabotage and took another look at and updated the Bastion events that can occur at the Bastion to your facilities and stuff. And so that went well. Things are clipping along. Life is feeling pretty good right now. So we just erase it until it's kind of like Bob Ross blending. You just erase at the ends of it until it sinks into the terrain, and that creates additional texture. And when there's a huge cacophony of it, it all kind of blends together into a vegetative slurry. And pardon the pun, because it is being dissolved by the magic of Mabar. So that is literally true. But the technique of it is to overwhelm the eye with visual information, so that it gives up trying to suss out is that legitimate vegetation or not? Is there a flaw with its design? Blah blah blah. So you just want to exhaust the eye, so it just gives up and says, yeah, okay, that's a forest floor, sure. And at the front end, if you have enough detail, you can get the eye into that overwhelmed state that you want to be in, so that as you move further back in the piece, you can reduce the amount of detail and work that it takes to complete the piece, if that makes sense. That's enough noise over there. Wrong layer, Kearney. There you go. Like that. Oops. Reset that. And we're just going to layer in a whole bunch of this. That's how you make the forest floor. And we're going to grab a smudge brush here and just tug at the bottom here real quick, because that's what my muse wants me to do at the moment. So when we pan out, you can see that it's just a bunch of scrub work along the ground, but it adds this level of texture. That makes it just, you know, we're Bob Ross in the forest, you know. But we can't use the same wet-on-wet techniques that Bob uses, so we have to get creative with the Photoshop machine and create tools and techniques that allow us to duplicate the look that Bob Ross produces with his work. And I'm pretty happy with that overall. Research. Just gotta get rid of these bottom bits here. I'm gonna switch to a different type of foliage up front. Actually, just another little patch here that I want to do. And the fog that's along the ground helps fake the imagery. So we don't have to be so detailed on the anatomy of the plant. So by layering in a bunch of tips, it just looks like reeds and fog. It's a fun technique. It's fun finding that. Hello, folks. Good morning. Having our coffee, our coffee start. I do artwork in the morning every day, Monday through Friday, before I begin my day job. This is a way for me to feel in the creative space and to appease that need to be creative. And so I can clear it from my palette, and I can do my day job. Instead of pining away that I wish I could be doing art at my day job, I can actually get art done and then approach my day of work with appreciation that I am afforded the opportunity to do artwork and then go into a job. That will not always be the case. Be there. Yeah, that feels good. Good. And then we'll merge this down. There we go. Cool little pathway here that feels good. Let's sink further back into the piece and work on. So while we have this brush equipped, it's best for us to proceed just to utilize this. So we're currently operating. So that tree line. So we're currently operating inside this space here. In that little clearing there. This is where we're going to be working on. So we had the foreground here in front of these trees to help. Like you can see all these root structures, they're bare on a blank canvas, right? So our job is then to fill in the grit on the ground in front of these, but behind this tree, but in front of this and this tree. Create that little extra layer of space. Like a Bob Ross painting will typically have anywhere from 17 to 35 layers, like starting with the sky, and then the mountain range, and then the hills in front of the mountains, and then the trees on top of the mountains, which is technically a different layer because it's adding mass and volume to the environment. And then you have a ridge, and then there'll be like a blank space, like water, that's then covered with another hill that has trees on that hill and foliage in front of that trees and flowers and sticks and stuff inside of those. And then you have another layer of trees, and it's just this cascading buildup of color information that, again, your eye just eventually just takes it in and makes it a thing. Well, with Photoshop here, we can establish the trees for the forest first to get their positioning right and nudge them around until it feels aesthetically pleasing. And then, as you can see, we can start layering in all the groundwork in between them after we establish where the trees are at. So we're able to kind of reverse engineer what the painting is while we build it, which is a huge luxury that digital art has over oil or any other physical medium. So I like leaning into the added value that the program offers to me. So having said that, let's get into it. No, Pixel is great. Let's get into it. I'm gonna add some of this in, and then I forgot something. I'm gonna actually just delete that outright. Duplicate. Fog. Wait, what is that? I spy with my eye something that is off. Oh, I bet I made a mistake with trunks up here. That's not it. That's not it. That's not it. Where is this blemish coming in from? Let's I'm hunting, sorry. Nope, it was just a gap. Okay, cool. So let's switch just to our round brush for the moment. We're gonna add in some another layer of ground fog to help further separate the two layers from each other. There we go. Just lift that up. I'm just smudging, going back, just like Bob Ross techniques. I'm just going back and forth to work it into the canvas and to add just this extra layer of desaturation. That helps increase the range, the depth of the piece by pushing detail and sharpness away. Just gotta work it into the canvas for a little bit to get it blended in. Because we're gonna put the groundwork behind this fog layer to again help further separate it from the already partially obscured ground cover in the foreground. So it'll be even less detail that we need to worry about back here. Just some interesting shapes and little splotches. Should sell it pretty easily, so it just takes a few minutes for us to work the haze into the canvas so that it feels natural. And we'll do this again for the layer that's back here. And then we'll have another fog layer for back here, but that's so far back in the forest at that point that we're not really going to do any groundwork anymore. The fog will overwhelm it, but we'll have a general, we'll have like a low key, dirty green tint on the floor. And then we'll be able to come back through and do little patches of glowing moss that'll create underlighting to push up into the fog. So ultimately, I'm going to want, and I'm going to do this now while I'm thinking about it. So ultimately, I'm going to want, I'm going to create some darkness up here. I have to be careful because the actually what I can do that's what I need to do. Now, go back and do this again. There we go. Okay, that feels better now. This will make it moodier. Obviously, we have to fix the window framing here. Smooth all that out so it's not so rough. Smooth that all out. Work it into the canvas. This is what we do. I am approaching my 7th year of creating content on DMsGuild. It'll be, I believe it's November. 2018 was the first month of me publishing my own content. And they say that you replace all the cells in your body every 7 years. You are a new person. And so I'm going to take the next few months here and really start thinking about how do I want to approach the content that I produce, the format that I use, and the types of projects that I take on. I'm taking a reassessment to see what I can do to kick up the community value of the content that I produce and have it a little bit more visible build my audience and have a little bit more essays, more video essays about different topics that I have opinions about. And we'll evolve a little bit in that direction and see if we can make the channel grow here with earned support in 2025. That's what I'm thinking about. I don't know how it's going to pan out. Also thinking about getting serious about packaging stock art and building a Shopify account to make some of this stuff available for folks for a couple of bucks. I like that. This is looking pretty good. I'm going to darken this down a bit. Drab it out some. And ooh, that's an idea. Let's disable the layer mask. Like that, and what we need to do let's get rid of that. There. And back to this. Wait. Uh-oh. Get rid of that. Looks like I'm fine without a wire right now. That's cool. All right. Yeah, that darker haze feels really good. Work that into the canvas. The lighter haze, I'm working up the canvas. And the darker haze, I'm working down the canvas. And they end up blending together pretty nicely. Yeah, we'll do a cross like that. I want the tips of the trees blending in, to have the same value blending into the darkness above. So the trees feel like they have no end without having to worry about ending them, you know? That feels pretty good. Just keep working up the page, thin it down a little bit. That's pretty good. I'm being really picky about the tone because if it's too heavy, it looks like a ceiling, like a seam in the sky, and that's erroneous. Fading the lighter sky upward, and again taking the darker sky and pushing it downward. It takes a little while to smudge all this in together. I could experiment with like with gradient filling, like to designate an area and then have the computer auto fill it for me. But I like the organic process of actually doing it. I think it allows me to play around with these curves a little bit and let it sink in some areas and lighten in others if I wish. You can't really pull that off with a digitized value gradient. It just doesn't work. Some things you have to do by hand. See, it's a lot moodier. and once we get the little glowing patches of fungus on the ground to kick up like little bits of iridescent light, I think it's gonna look really fucking cool. Yeah, I'm really liking how this guy's coming together. God, this is really cool. It's the little kick-in techniques, like little cappers like that that helps make the mood of the piece. You know? It's just fun. Yeah, this is about what the Manifest Zone is supposed to look like. It's miserable. And I love it. I love it. Love it. It's such a fun adventure. It was so fun creating this. It's like a chapter in my life. Nice. I think I love that mood. That mood is so good. Let's reapply the layer mask and instantly regret our poor decisions. Oh, that's the wrong button, Kearney. There you go. I really lose that dreariness, that dark overhanging just disappears with the text in place. I don't know if I regret that or not. Honestly, I think I'm okay with this being what it is. But I love it being that. So I'm gonna leave that. I'm gonna leave this unmasked, so we can stay inside this space and appreciate the look. All right, that's enough back patting, Betty. You got work to do, son. All right, that's enough back patting, Betty. Pitter patter. Where am I at? Where am I at? Perfect. Haze, correct. Groundwork. And we were doing this because we needed to finish use of this brush. So let's grab that and we were doing this because we needed to finish use of this brush. So let's dotted in there. Literally cannot see through that fog back there. Let's drop the opacity a bit there. Yeah, we gotta do this again a different way. Let's do this again a different way. Starting over this October. Oh, that's what I need to do. I need to switch the brush back. Danke. We're making little islands of vegetation. We're making little islands of vegetation. Doesn't have to be a lot. Again, less detail further away from the camera. So we can do less, and the information we put up front is helping feed in the details of what we're putting further back. So like in a Bob Ross technique, when you're putting like the mountains and the sky and distant waters, you have to layer those in first so that you can stack stuff up in front of it, because you don't know where there's going to be gaps that little things can poke through and can be seen. But by having multiple separate layers that we're painting on, we're able to literally separate those elements from each other so that we can, again, position the forest for the trees, and then between the trees start dropping in on a new layer in between them, drop in the new layers for the groundwork. Hey, Welsh, how you doing, my guy? Yeah, necrotic forest, man. This is the plane of Mabar in the Eberron campaign setting is the realm of undeath and things that go bump in the dark, basically. So the adventure is that necromancers have found an artifact that can create a manifest zone, and a manifest zone in Eberron is when one plane of existence overlaps and influences another plane. And so Eberron is the core world, and the other planes, the 13 other planes, orbit, quote-unquote, orbit around Eberron, and occasionally their orbit has them passing through each other. And you can open a gate between those worlds. And so this adventure is about these necromancers found this artifact that will artificially hold open and increase the power of these points of overlap to the point where it's terraforming the Eberron into this necrotic sort of what's the word I'm looking for? A biome. So like the ground is being depleted of life and is being replaced with this necrotic soil that supports these exotic plants that grow in it, that the necromancers bring these alchemists in to learn how to process them into different alchemical substances and like material components, so that they can profit. Of course, they're just trying to make money to gain power, because the Emerald Claw necromancers in and Eberron are basically magical terrorists using necromancy as their fuel source. They used to be military officers in Karnath until the last war ended, and they were decommissioned and basically shamed for doing what their country asked them to do: create undead monsters to attack our enemies. And now that it's inconvenient to have undead around, they're all being decommissioned, and in some instances being tried for war crimes. It's like, this is bullshit. So it's a really fun political campaign note about the Eberron world, and so these necromancers are on the lam, and they need to accumulate power, so they need to get more powerful people on their side so they can dodge tribunals. So they come up with this plan to create this manifest zone out in the middle of the Carnwood, in the middle of fucking nowhere, and start generating this manifest zone to extract all the materials that are now growing there because of the power of that manifest zone, for them to be able to gain influence and audience with these people that they're courting, this Council of 12. That is basically like the evil hidden hand behind all the trade guilds in Eberron. They're trying to gain favor with that organization, so that they can get themselves out, they can get away from Karnath and have a place to be with the resources that they became accustomed to through government support of their work. and of course they have this like whole fascist Nazi thing going on behind them, where they want everyone to be undead. So like they want everyone to be whites or some sort of an intelligent undead, so they can live forever. Or vampires is like a real common theme in the cults of Karnath. It's all fun and games until the Warforged sinks like a rock. Gotta give those guys floaters. It's all fun and games until the Warforged sinks like a rock. Warforged are awesome. I love Warforged. There's so much fun stuff that's going on inside the Eberron campaign setting. I think it's strengthened 3E for its presence. It'll be interesting to see what Keith comes up with for Daggerheart. I know that he submitted a number of different types of worlds to the contest back in 3rd edition to eventually get Eberron. There's like 7 different worlds that he built and offered, and Eberron stuck. So I'm wondering if we're going to get a taste of some of the other ideas that he had that Wizards passed on, that WotC might decide, or that Daggerheart might decide they want to scoop up. Darrington, yeah. Hey Fox, it's good to see you, my guy. Hell yeah! I have today off. I took a holiday. We had the American holiday Labor Day to celebrate our workforce on Monday, so that was a holiday. And I didn't realize, but I had taken the day off on Tuesday, but I went into work and did my job because I forgot I was supposed to be on vacation. And now I'm starting to stack up and reach my maximum capacity of, like, after 200 hours, I don't accrue more vacation time. So I have to burn it. And I'm at 190 already, and so another couple weeks I'll be out of vacation time accrued. So I was supposed to take Tuesday off. I didn't. So I'm making it up to myself by taking today on vacation. So I don't have to end at 8 o'clock, though I might feel content with the piece by then and step out anyway and just start working on like game prep for Saturday or something. But we'll be back at 2 o'clock. This afternoon, which is about 6.5 hours from now. We're going to work on the Dragon King Warlock subclass to finish off the color mana translation of potential Dark Sun subclass options into the 5e color mana system that we developed. There we go. I like how that sits. They're just layering in this ground scrub and I got a cough going. What's up with that? Well, if I'm sick, this would be the day to do it. Yeah, this is all square. What's going on in this pit? Oh, it's just thick haze. Hold on. What the hell is going on in the world? Something seems really weird right now. Hold on. That explains a lot. The whole forest got bumped up outside of... There we go. Silly rabbit. That explains a lot. The whole forest got bumped up outside of... That should fix it. Wait. Nope, that's all right. Okay, we're back in alignment. Bump bump. Bump bump. That's all right. Okay, we're back in alignment. And ground stuff. This is all making sense. Sorry, I had to catch up with myself. My head just got turned off for a moment. There. So once we add in the viridescent patches of fungus on the ground that kicks up light from underneath, I think this will have I think this mood will all come together and look really good. Looking forward to that. This piece is coming along. I'm pretty happy with it. Oh, that's what happened. Your opacity got dropped. This piece is coming along. That makes sense. Oh, that's what happened. That makes sense. I spy with my eyes some text. What's up? You guys get vacation? Yeah, I mean, you know, the benefits of working at a company for 17 years. This bank 6 months here. I am working on filling that up. Hell yeah, man. You guys, yep. But more Keith Baker and Eberron conversation, please. I was in Nerd. As well as corporate wastelets. Hold on, I'm just catching up with you guys. My experience with Eberron was pretty much fixing the Vecna module by moving that part to Sharn. Oh, right on. Who knew the fans of the full setting? Wanted a pulp adventure. Yeah, no kidding, right? Well, we'll have to find our way back into that Eberron conversation flow, Welsh. Is there like a patch of... No. Okay, we're good. And then here. there's subtle details, but it's that subtlety that you want. I need to invest the time here in the mid ground. So we have this detail in the foreground, and now we're seeing it transition here into the mid ground, where the same language is present but faded, right? There, and hold on, wait for it. What is that splotch? Get out of here, scallywag. Thank you. So by the time we get finished with adding in this second layer, it should help reinforce and push back anything. I'll only have to do like a little whisper of stuff here in the third, and then the final tier will just be fog embankment. So, and I want to have that subtle fade to help instead of emphasizing distance and depth and depth in the piece, I want to collapse it and like compress it so it feels claustrophobic. So having more and more mist layering in as we move further and further back in the composition to obscure the terrain, so it becomes just a blind forest of trees. That's exactly the space that we're attempting to create. Which means that we are in the ends. Once I can get the ground cover all resolved, this is where I want to be at, right here. Now I'm back up to speed. Thank you. Yeah, once we get this resolved, then we'll just add in the little glowing fungus bits for the underlighting, and we should be in a really good space to call this one done. And so that means on Monday when we jump back in, I'll be working on a different painting. This one will be done. We'll be on a separate page. Probably finishing up Professor Carter and the intern illustrations. I'm going to drop the opacity here a little bit. Something, something, Eberron, something, something complete. Something, something, Eberron, something, something. Just trim that up a little bit. Push that up. And an eraser here. Picking up a snitch. Drop that a bit. Circle. Playing around with the balance here. years now. I've completed 3 campaigns in it, and there is, yeah, no kidding. There is no end to it. Did replace Tasha with one of the hags. The Queen of Demons went back to Grey Hawk to hang. Hey, Daniel, little boy. Sorry, I'm between conversation points in my head, so. Sorry, I'm between conversations. Sad the conversation's right up on my side, but I mean I guess I get what I get, you know. Sad the conversation's right up on my side, but I guess I get what I get. To work on that. Let's take this down to here, here, and here. Let's add another layer. You know what? Actually, no, not that layer. I think I'm probably done with that foliage brush. I think I have enough. I think I have enough of it laid into the ground to be self-referential at this point. So, I think I have enough. I think I have enough of it. Oh, that's weird. So, I accidentally smudged the wrong layer. That's why that looks so weird. That's okay. We can heal it through erasure. There. I'm gonna stick around here for another minute or two, though. I'll fill that back in. Now we can switch to a different brush and mix up the. It feels really good. Nice. I like that. I like that a lot. Okay, cool. So this feels really, really good. What I want to do next is I like that a lot. Okay, cool. So layer in. Just gonna merge that down. I don't need that as a separate layer. But we do need to create a new layer, and we're going to go to our brush set, and we're going to grab a different type of plant. A lot of times I like to add in leafy vines around at this point. This is our. This is our leafy vine brush. And if I hack and trim at it, I can make neat little shapes with it like that. It makes for neat little blades of grass and stuff to intersperse. Like it makes for good ground cover. It's just ground sludge, you know. So we'll drop down our size here. And I'm gonna add a couple of these things in like that. And I think I'm gonna the eraser. I think I'm gonna drop it down to around a 50% strength eraser. So I can tap and push it down like that. There we go. And then I can flip it over. Just add a little, again, we're just adding a little bit of volume to the ground around us to help just start filling in little shadows and little spikes of stuff sticking out of the ground fog. adds to the mood, and it helps create these distances that you can see that add depth to the composition. There we go. Yeah, I don't know what made me fall in love with Eberron. I think it was the Warforged. I think the Warforged was the first thing that made me think. There's interesting stories to be told by trying to integrate a synthetically created people. Like at the time, early 2000s, it seemed kind of far away to think about it. So it was a neat hypothetical, but nowadays, like thinking about AI, integrating AI into society, and like, will they have their own opinions eventually? And that's kind of what Eberron had to face in the creation of the Warforged. Like, we created these machines, but they have souls, and now we have issues. Like, we have moral quandaries to consider about what have we done, and what rights should they have. In my Eberron, the Warforged were created by the Sirens, and they didn't know this, but my sire's society was primarily a warlock. It was a warlock society where most of the people with any kind of political and creative power made a pact with this entity that they called Lord of the Machines. And it provided them inspiration and fuel for the different machines that they were starting to create. And when they created the Warforged, what they didn't know is that their patron was taking their dead warlock souls and then dropping them into the body of the Warforged. And if they don't remember who they were, it was just the spark of life that allowed the machines to do. And one of our campaigns, we had a Warforged character that had the revelation that they had a life before this. They kept getting glimpses of their life that they don't remember, and it made them follow that thread and realize that it's just recycled souls being dumped back into these Warforged bodies. So the 20 level quest for that character was to awaken everyone to the life that they had before they were encased in the machine. And at the conclusion of the campaign, they basically thwarted won back all the souls from the God of Machines. And in doing so, it awoken every Warforged that existed as the lost nation of Sire. So now, all of a sudden, Sire that lost their home, they're now like, yeah, I remember who I am, I remember my street, I remember my lineage, and I remember that I'm royal. So now they really have this grounding for reforming the lost nation of Sire. But their land is literally gone, so they take to orbit as Warforged that don't need to breathe. They're now creating a society out in the asteroid ring around Eberron where they can build alone and have access to nearly infinite resources. And so they've worked out a deal with Moorhold dwarves and the Zilargo gnomes. And so basically, Sire is now in orbit above the rest of the planet, looking down, and it was the morning was caused by the Lord of Machines, and basically a power grab to scoop up all the souls in one pull, and basically just like triple down on, or 10 times fold increase its own power as a result of doing that. It had plans in other wares of the multiverse, and Eberron was just a harvesting zone for it to be able to cultivate psychic power to be able to fuel its own objectives. And in exchange, it provided these ideas of machinery to the Sirens, and ended up biting them in the ass in the back end of it. that's my Eberron story. There you go. That's one of my Eberron stories. That's not the reason I fell in love with Eberron. The Warforged themselves, the different types of machines that they are. In 3rd edition, they were a lot more customizable with different sizes and a lot more equipment and stuff that you could install into Warforged. Like 5e really simplified the utility of Warforged, but we really leaned into it in 3rd edition a lot, and it was super fun making mecha. And this is where the idea that I have about the soul of the Warforged is a docent that's installed in the chest or the head or wherever it is. Your design is your own, but your Warforged body is designed to accept a docent. And once it's plugged into a Warforged machine, it animates that machine as over its body. So in a way, you could druid shift between different types of bodies, right? When your character's core stats were inside of that docent, and when you plugged it into a machine, it would augment it with different abilities, whether it's size, flight, different spell-like abilities it would have access to. And so we started leaning into that idea here in 5e a lot more. And so the team accumulated an army of mecha to basically enforce their personal rights through military powers. Like, yeah, we're making our own nation again. We're back, and now we're machines that we can build into. So they became more of themselves, I guess, in the end. But that's one of the themes that's what is it? What's the word I would use for that? The motif. That's the motif that I'm adopting with some of the Mecha Kaiju book that I'm developing for Spelljammer is to take that idea of frames, Warforged frames, or Warframes, if you wanted to steal an IP, of characters being able to plug themselves into larger mecha to be able to fight giant kaiju. So dwarves, gnomes, and Warforged working together in orbit to create a human-free environment where they can flourish without the infestation of humans everywhere. I haven't done anything with the Lord of Blades, but obviously with his awakening, he would probably be in the I don't know the names of any of the Sirens that have passed away, like Earsire or whatever, their ears. I don't know who their royalty was, but I imagine the Lord of Blades would evolve into basically being the reborn, the reforged monarchy of what Seer used to be. I don't know enough of its culture to say, honestly, because I improvise a lot of it. But everyone's Eberron is their own. But I'm mildly curious about what the history of Seer really was, and who would make sense as that Lord of Blades, because they would just be a political powerhouse of gathering Warforged to follow them. But I imagine him in a 50-foot Gundam. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. I think I want to. Keep adding little ground bits here to fill in the gaps. this. It's stippling plus a bunch of extra steps. So we lay down the pattern and then we erase the bottom of it so it fades into the terrain. So this isn't actually in the manifest zone. This is approaching like within a football field of the manifest zone, where the mist is pushing out into the rest of the forest and rotting away at the vegetation and the plant growth that's in there to slowly expand the scale and size of the manifest zone by basically terraforming the environment around it. Take your timely timer. Timely time. Keep at it. Pitter patter. That feels pretty good. Let's there. That feels pretty good. See, there's just a little bit, I mean, it's very subtle, but that was the point. We wanted it to be very subtle. I like how this is sitting. Very subtle, but that was the point. We wanted it to be very subtle. I like how this is sitting. So I think I'm content with that scrub there. Yeah, I can merge all these down. I don't need to keep them separated. Again, and it looks cooler. Let's see, where are we at right now? We want to be not that specifically, yes. Let's see, where are we at right now? Let's grab our mountain chisel. And I'm going to make this one a little bit blue. See, rock texture, super easy. This brush set that I'm using, it's on my Patreon. It doesn't cost anything for you to have access to it. It's just a thank you gift for my community for giving me the 500 subscribers. Very much appreciated. But these are those literally the exact same brushes that I'm using right now. That's what's on my Patreon for folks. And I use these same techniques basically over and over again. It's how you do. I don't know of a more efficient way to do Bob Ross type techniques in Photoshop. It's taken me a number of years to be able to develop it. And I'm pretty happy with the results overall. Just smudge that a little bit just to blend it in. Because of all this fog, we can afford to do that. I'd have to use a different technique if it wasn't a foggy environment. But because it is, this is the proper way for me to blend these colors in. Off the edge, we'll just smudge it in, just working into the canvas, work it out. There we go, just blend it in. Nice. Wah! Where do we go? Here we are. Where do we go? Here we are. How about we play here for a second. Extra waft of fog through here. I think that's fun, and it pushes that tree back a little bit. See, look at that. That's fun. And all of a sudden, we created this massive gap between where these two trees are at. That's the power of fog, y'all. That's the power of fog, y'all. Ah, that's cool. I like it. All right. Next. That tree feels pretty good. That ground fog feels good. That feels good. Here's our trees. This is the next layer of stuff. So I'm going to grab this same vine brush here. I'm going to drop it down. I'm going to grab a good color, that. And this should be the last groundwork layer that we need to worry about. We need to worry a little bit more than that, maybe. How do we do? Right here, eraser, vine brush, 40%. Real light touch on the eraser, like 20%. So we just dust across here. Make little, like these 2 points here. If I connect these two things, it'll, like if I connect this to this, it'll collapse the distance between the two because I'm removing the fog that separates them. Like adding fog here pushed this tree away from this tree, removing the space where the fog is present, pulls them together. So I have to be mindful of that gap. Mind the gap. bit. We just add on layers to push it forward. Drop the opacity a bit. Little details. I mean, they're just super tiny little details. But again, it's just the layering of these details that makes your eye give up. And once your eye gives up, it'll just accept whatever it is that you're doing. You have to establish that language in the foreground so it knows what we're talking about, so it can see that language repeated here and here, and it just gives up. It's like, okay, I get it, and it just starts auto-filling detail. Your eye is lazy. If you can convince it to not work, it will abide. A lot of muttering to myself here right now. I don't have any particular topic of conversation that's on my mind. I'm just putting in the hours. This is part of the gig, you know, just the grind of pixels and the mindlessness of repetitive tasks. It's an endurance. Painting is a constitution check. It's not a dexterity check. Do you have, or possibly a wisdom check? Do you have the endurance to go through the steps that you need to complete a piece? That is the eternal challenge that we face. Like they say, you don't finish a piece, you give up on it. Flotilla of stuff. Let's add a circle. Add another layer of depth here, more haze. Now we're getting to the point where we don't even have to do any groundwork anymore. It's just adding layers of haze into the background to further obscure the trunks of the trees. Now we're getting to the point where we don't even have to do any groundwork anymore. Create that claustrophobic effect. It's got mood. I like it. Actually, I'm going to create some space inside of here. There, like that. That feels pretty good. And yeah, not bad. Where are we at on time? It's 8:05. I've got some vacation time that I'm racking up right now, so I think I'm pretty happy with the composition. That's probably enough groundwork to get by. Now I want to add in a couple patches of viridescent fungus, so I'm going to crank the green up super high. What is going on? That's what I want. Thank you. Here, so I think our first patches are going to be in here. Okay, I need to hit save. Something's going weird with the program. It's got this weird skip delay happening right now, and I don't necessarily trust that. So let's grab some Vulpina. How do we want to illustrate that stuff? So let's grab some Vulpina. Let's go with our conifer foliage brush. Good old reliable conifer foliage. I'm gonna flatten it down a little bit. Get rid of that curve. This is one of the go-tos that we have. And I think I want to, use the same brush. And same brush for the eraser as well. Not having the impact that I wanted to. Too much haze. I'm not giving up yet. Too much haze. What do I need to do? I need to raise it up. I guess we're gonna have to use masking layers because I won't be able to get the. Ooh, that's a good point. Hold on. Just added a masking layer. That was easy. Just added a masking layer. You can tell me, timer. And then I want to put a haze. And then I want to put the top of this. I'm going to move that masking layer to there. And we're going to use round brush and normal smudge. Reduce the size here. Why is that happening? That's why. Thank you. Nitpicky little stuff that we're doing right now. Nitpicky little stuff. But it's the little details that end up taking time that we only have to do at the end. That's basically where we're at in this process. Feels pretty good. Yeah, I think that's moody enough. I think I'm happy with this for now. There it is. I'm content with this for now. So I'm gonna close this one up. I might decide to come back and poke at it, but for now I'm pretty happy with how that looks. So let's drop that back there. We've got Aether Academy here, and I've got a little bit of time. So this is the last page in the Aether Academy plot hook notes. We have to replace 1, 2, 3, 4 of these guys. This actually is what Juliet looks like. This actually is what Armand looks like. But Seda, Rio, Elman, and Lewis. These are all just placeholders, just to get the sizing right of the composition of the page. But I need to replace those with 4 similar illustrations. But I'm not going to do that today. We're going to work, I think we're going to work over here. Yeah, this perspective is wrong. I need to fix that. Let's see. Perspective needs to be more like this. And then this frame should go more to like here. Yeah, that immediately feels more valid. Then we need to blank that out. There, okay, that immediately feels better. Let's see if I can fix the book, and then I'll call it for the day. Then the last thing we'll need to do is the bookshelves back here to like make those right. But that's this will be like a thicker doorway here, and then we'll have like books. We'll evenly pace all that shit out so it's built correctly. That'll be our next step, to build that out correctly, and then to add a whole bunch of books in there. Maybe like some doodads and shit, but I think we can safely say the podium is good for now. Now we're actually looking at the book itself. Let's be bold and duplicate the group, merge it together into a single layer that we can cut through, like that. And let's get the right tool for the job. This is a smudge guitar pick that we use. It seems to be the right tool for the job. Smudge guitar pick that we use. It seems to be the right tool for the job. Sometimes smudging, sometimes painting and erasing. It just depends on what the composition is and the materials. Some things look better being painted over, some things look better being smudged. The outside edge here I want to smudge. But I think the interior space pages being separated, I think that's going to be something we're going to paint over. There, like that. Smudging works here. Get these lines, like this page does to flip up a little bit from the book. That works well with smudge. And this outer edge, I'll probably trim this down with an eraser here, and then curve it out with a smudge brush. I want to get a what I think I need to do is get a consistent color here on the top edge of the book, and then streak it with curved lines. Oh, it's pseudo-transparent. I didn't expect that. That's weird. So yeah, we're gonna actually take this color. We're gonna fill this in with this color as a block, and then we'll be able to paint in individual pages separating from each other as a separate layer. For now, we just want to have this curve right here like that. We'll worry about the individual pages later on as we go. Right now, we're just going for form and composition. And that's the proper shape that we need it to be. Continue to sculpt and shape this appropriately. Here we go. So it's kind of like with hair, you make clumps and then you further refine the edges and wisps of the hair clump. This is similar. Taking clumps of pages and grouping them together, and then further refining and distinguishing individual pages in that clump from each other. Feels pretty good. And again, we'll go back in here and resolve these pages appropriately. Now we just need to block them in. Very good. Okay, cool. So that's taken care of. Now let's do the same for over here. I think once I finish this part of the book here, I'm going to call it for the day. I'm going to take some time to myself. I want to work on the playtest mega dungeon a little bit. So I can't do that on stream because most of my recruits to playtest the mega dungeon came from stream. It'd be rude to cut them off. So instead, I toil in obscurity alone. I'm just gonna block this whole thing in so we can on the other side. closely. We'll just block that in. Keep things simple. Before we make it complicated with detail. Gotta make it simple first before it can be complicated. Complications build upon simplicity. Hey, what's up? Hey, Steve. It's good to see you. I'm just about wrapping up for the day. I have the day off, so I've got a lot of float on how I spend my time. And I'm just about wrapping up for the day. I have the day off, so I've got a lot. So this is what we're working on currently. Professor Carter, Ader Sage, working on whatever tome he's working on. Professor Carter. Back me for the win. Hell yeah, dude. Back me forever. Back me for the win. Hell yeah, dude. Back me forever. I never shy away from a game of Back Me. Ultimately, I never shy away from a game. Let's see. This angle is going to match. Ultimately, this angle here. Like that. You can tell me, timer. Transform. Oops. Free transform. Let's zoom in. Free transform. And then we're going to distort. Bring in the angle just a smidge. And then we do like that, a little spiral of darkness. Good. Almost done for the day. leaders. That does the trick. We'll need to do pages along here like that, but that's going to be a massive pain in the ass. So I'm going to step away from that effort for now. I'm pretty happy with how this is coming along. Once I get these get these page curves figured out up here. Whatever this ends up being. When we figure that out, the foreground will be done, and then we need to build bookshelves and then stack books in there, and potential other knickknacks and trophies and shit. But I'm going to do that another time. I think I'm cool with calling stream for the time being. I'm going to be back in about 5.5 hours at 2 o'clock Seattle time, minus 8 UTC. We're going to convert the Sorcerer Keen patron for Warlocks into the color mana system that we have for MTG. I think MTG and Dark Sun makes a ton of sense, like the color philosophies, considering how depleted the environment is. I think that has a fun way of like playing like restricted access to green, for instance. I think makes a lot of sense there, with like a lot of what would normally be green is replaced with black and blue in that world. All the psychic and life-feeding types of life that thrive from the lack of environmental vegetation available. I like that vibe a lot, and that feels very black-green to me in the MTG world. So I'm looking forward to seeing if that actually rings true when we build it. But about 5.5, 6-ish hours from now, we'll be back on. We're going to work on that. We're going to finish that Warlock and thus finish the Dark Sun UAs, and that'll free up our Tuesdays and Friday lunches. We'll probably, starting next week, we'll probably start working on, or rather revisiting, the Spelljammer subclasses that I had initially built to complement the Spelljammer Combat and Exploration document that I have down below. We built subclasses for each of Spelljammer subclasses for each of the classes. And now that I've had more time in the 5e game engine and a lot more time developing mechanics for characters in 5e24, I want to go back and revisit that because that is a supplement that I want to publish to complement the Spelljammer Combat and Exploration guide down below, so I can actually create a discount bundle to give more value for less coins. So, but hey, that's it for now, guys. I'll be back, like I said, in like 5.5, 6-ish hours, and we'll continue working from there. And I really appreciate everybody that's tagging in. I'm trying to grow my channel to over 1,000 subscribers. Anyone that thinks this stuff is interesting and wants to tap in on occasionally to see how I'm coming along, I would greatly appreciate it. Otherwise, check out my stuff down below and have a great day. See you on the other side. Cheers.